Science!
Hey guys, it's time for me to finally do this video about my podcasting and streaming setup. Some people have asked for this for a while, and I initially tried to do this kind of cool artsy looking thing, and then I realized, you know what, we don't need to do all that. Let's just keep it real simple. So I'm just going to talk through what I use, why I use what I use, how much they cost, and I'm going to give you guys links below. If this is something that you're interested in doing and you want to get something that's similar to what I'm using, then there you go. I do have a green screen. You can't see it right now, but I'll show you some footage of that. It's called the Fotodiox 5x7 Collapsible Chromakey green and blue 2-in-1 background panel. So it's green on one side, blue on the other. You can switch it based on what your needs are, and it just folds up real easy, similar to the things you use in your car to block out the sun. It just kind of folds up in 3 little parts, and it actually happens super quick. Folds back out, completely flattens itself out, so there's no wrinkles or anything. It's really easy to clean off. You can just take like a lint roller and get all the stuff off of it really easily. And I actually propped the whole thing up with just a single stand. So there's just one stand with a clip at the top, and the clip holds it in real neatly, and it just hangs perfectly right there, so I can move it around wherever I need to. It basically cuts my living room in half, so it's nice to be able to take it down so that when I'm done streaming, I'm done doing anything, I just take it down and I got my full living room back. I started out with like a hanging sheet, and that was okay, but it was just a little bit cumbersome and too big and annoying to take up, to put up and take down. So I ended up going with this option. And it's actually not very expensive either. Audio interface. I use an audio interface called the Tascam US 1800. Now this isn't the greatest thing you can use, but if you want to use a real mic, not that USB mics aren't real mics, but if you want to be able to use something like what I'm using, which is the RE20, and I'll talk about that in a second, you're going to need some sort of way to interface that mic into your computer. Now, this is one way you can do it. This is probably a little overkill for what some of you guys are needing. It's got 8 mic inputs. It uses USB to interface with my computer. It's not the best for what it does, but it was decently priced at the time I purchased it. I think Tascam's actually put out a new version of this, and it's about, I think, $250 for the new version. This one I think you can get used for fairly cheap too, but the new version's probably better. I wouldn't know. I haven't tested it out. But essentially what this is a full-on audio interface to be able to use with something like Pro Tools. If you're recording multiple tracks at once, so let's say I want to mic up a drum kit, I can actually do that with this, because I have 8 mics in, and I actually have a total of 16 inputs that I can use and 4 total outputs that I can use as well. So it's a little overkill if you're just podcasting or streaming, but I got it because I originally, when I was going to school for broadcasting and recording arts. So recording an entire band was something I really wanted to be able to do if I needed to. And I have used it a couple times to record multiple inputs at the same time. It's pretty nice for that. So that's what I use for that. You can also just get something like if you really want good quality stuff, there's this tube pre here. Now this is analog all the way, so you're going to have to actually output directly into like an analog input on your computer. But if you have a decent sound card, then the sound card will have an analog input on it. So this isn't going to be a USB, but PreSonus tube pre's are actually pretty nice as far as sound quality goes. The one thing I will say about this is that when I purchased it, it is recommended that you buy a new tube. So they actually have these kind of analog tubes that go in there, and you can purchase the tubes for about $5. You literally just screw it in, but the one it comes with isn't so great. So a little research might be needed to do something like that, but that's fine. This is often recommended for newer people. So just use one of these bad boys. This is the blue Yeti microphone. It's got some decent options on the back, so you can see you can actually turn the gain up or down, and then it's got this little pattern selector, so you can decide how you want your mic to work. So I've set up to cardioid, which is, it looks like a little heart. Cardioid means that it picks up what's going in the front, and the back is actually canceled out. So it's supposed to only pick up in the front in this kind of heart-shaped pattern there. Now you can also set this up to pick up everything in a room. Let's say you just want to mic an entire room. You can also do a figure 8 if you're doing like an interview where it picks up the front and the back. And then you can also do like kind of an overlapping figure 8. This is a pretty good USB mic for beginners, but I personally have found it slightly lacking in quality. I know it sounds just fine, but personally, it picks up too much of the room for one thing. But it cuts out the middleman. You don't need an audio interface. You don't need anything like that. You can just plug this directly in USB and you're fine. If you want to use like a mic and you need something smaller and you want to use like a real mic, you can also do something like this. Now this is not the greatest piece of audio equipment you've ever seen, but I did use it for a while. As you can see, you can plug a mic into the back and then you can go USB directly in the computer. Basically this allows you to, you know, there's units like this out there that are better than this one. This is just one that I used for a while because it was what I had around. Basically what you're looking for is something that has a mic pre in it. And what that means is that's your initial gain that you're giving to the mic before it goes into the computer. And this is really important because mics actually, like their output and their impedance is actually such that you need to be able to turn up the juice, as it were. So you're going to need something that has a preamp in it. And if it's a condenser mic, you need something that's able to give it what's known as phantom power. Phantom power is what actually powers. In a condenser mic, there's actually components in the mic that need power to work. Now, I'm using what's called a dynamic mic. It doesn't need power to work. But if you do have something that's a condenser mic, which is a pretty common mic you'll see a lot, make sure you understand what your mic is. You're going to need something that also gives phantom power because it won't work without phantom power. All right, that's going to be that little button that says 48V. It's plus 48 volts. That's what's actually powering. The unit itself will send power through the mic cable into the microphone. All right, let's talk about the microphone I use. I use the RE20. Now, the RE20 is a really fantastic mic. It is kind of a standard as far as broadcasting mics are concerned. You'll see it a lot in radio stations. You'll see it a lot. I've seen a few other streamers. I think Noxious uses one. I think Total Biscuit has one of these. You see a lot of people actually using these. These are fantastic mics. It's got a really long, thin kind of body to it, and then you'll notice all the ports on the side. What the ports on the side do is they're actually taking sound in as well, but the mic itself is turning what it hears from those ports down, and then turning what it hears through the main port, which is where you actually talk into. That's going through 100%. So what that's actually doing is like canceling anything that's not coming through the front. So with this mic, you're going to hear that there's not a lot of background noise. You're not going to hear a lot of noise that's going on in my apartment. And I actually have a really loud refrigerator, and my air conditioning is kind of always on because it's Texas. So it's not a quiet recording environment. It's really nice to be able to have a mic that can handle that. The other thing you might notice is that when I'm streaming, I don't wear headphones. And that's because I'm actually listening to sound straight out of my speakers. It's just more comfortable when you're streaming long hours not to have headphones on, and a mic like this is going to really help because it doesn't pick up the noise coming out of my speakers. I can actually, as long as I don't have my speakers cranked up, you're not hearing what's coming out of them because they are behind the microphone, and the microphone is aiming this way. So it's only picking up what's coming in through the front of the microphone. Really, really good microphone for that. You also notice I don't use a pop filter on this microphone. The reason is RE20s actually have a built-in pop filter. You don't even need a pop filter here. The other thing this mic does is it handles what's called the proximity effect really well. So what the proximity effect is if you'll notice with a lot of microphones, if I talk really, really close to the microphone, right about here, everything gets really bassy. And a lot of times this is actually better, but it can also get bad. So it can be too bassy too much. Now, people do use this as a tool. They talk really, really close to the mic to get that real radio voice. Hey, welcome KLBJ, Austin, Texas. But the other thing that happens is sometimes it gets to be a little bit too much. This mic actually cancels out proximity effect in a real way, which allows you to talk wherever you want on this microphone. I can get in and out, in and out. You might hear the volume go up or down, but you're not going to suddenly hear a huge change in the quality of the recording. The actual tone of my voice isn't going to suddenly change, which is pretty nice. Next, I'm going to talk about my camera that I'm using. The camera that I use, the webcam, is the Logitech C920. Not a lot you need to know about this camera. It records in full HD 1080p, plugs right in USB. This is a pretty standard webcam that you're going to see a lot of streamers using, and it's just a high quality camera. It works really well, so definitely recommend that. It's like about $100 or something like that. Let's talk about the streaming software I use. I use OBS. OBS is free. It's pretty easy to use. Once you do your initial setup, you create your scenes, you put all your pieces into place. Once you do that, everything is in there, and I can swap between all my different scenes. So I have, like, I play different games. So Overwatch, I might want my cam in a different place. When I play Hearthstone, I kind of just want to use just my monitor rather than the game input. So I use my whole monitor, which means I can just drag other windows right onto that monitor. It's pretty nice. I also have, like, I'm actually using it right now to record this, and I just have green screen. I have a picture behind me of a fake studio that I'm not in, and that's great too. It just allows me to build all of the scenes that I might need to create either the stream or these YouTube videos, and it works really well. So I think OBS is a fantastic option, and like I said, free to use. One of the drawbacks of OBS is that I can't use this Chromakey in outside programs. And XSplit does actually allow you to do that. So I actually do have XSplit as well, but not the paid version, the free version, so that I can do things like Chromakey myself out over Skype during things like when I'm doing the Angry Chicken, because Garrett's the one actually recording that on his end using XSplit. So I Chromakey out my background and send it to him through Skype already Chromakeyed, right? All right, now let's talk about my stream setup. And I'm going to try to show you guys some visualization of what this looks like. And hopefully this kind of makes sense. But what I'm basically talking about is what I'm looking at while I'm streaming. I have two monitors, one over here, one over here. And while I'm streaming, basically, like, if you don't have two monitors, it's going to get really, really tricky to fit everything you need to be able to track onto one screen. And I used to actually stream on one screen, and it was bad. First of all, you had to make your game really small, so your gameplay suffered. It's much better to have two screens. One whole screen is devoted just to you and the game that you're playing, and the other screen is devoted to all the things that you need to be able to keep up with. So I'll kind of show you, like, the first screen. That's pretty much just the game. And when I'm playing Hearthstone, it's Hearthstone in full screen mode. I do have the Hearthstone deck tracker kind of overlaid over the top of it. And this is what I'm actually showing to you guys. You guys are seeing this screen, right? Now on my second screen, I have OBS open so I can monitor what I'm actually putting out. I need to be able to see what I'm sending out so that I make sure that what's on there is what I want to be on there. I also have the chat open in its own separate window so I can monitor the chat, which is very important, I think, for a lot of streamers. If you're trying to become a streamer and that's something you're interested in doing, what you want to really do, at least at first, you could see bigger streamers kind of stop doing this because it becomes an impossible task, but you want to be able to interact with your chat, interact with the people who are there, especially when there's not that many. They're going to keep talking if you keep talking back to them. The other thing I have open is I have one Chrome window open with a bunch of tabs. And in those tabs, I have my Twitch dashboard open so I can see how many people I currently have watching, as well as some other stuff like what my stream quality is like as far as Twitch is concerned. I have Twitch alerts, which is the donation system that I currently use. So it shows me the dashboard so I can read the latest donation. If the alert doesn't pop up, I still have a place if something's not working where I can see donations as they come in. I have Nightbot open, which is what I use to monitor my chat and moderate it, because it's hard. I have plenty of mods. It's not a big deal. Like if someone comes in and they're kind of a dick, my mods will generally take care of it. But what Nightbot does is it will delete things like links before, or if someone uses something like the N-word or something like that, we want that stricken right away. We don't want that going through, man. That's not my chat. All right. And then I actually have now a new one that I'm using, which is this new bounty system from Opera Event. If you guys have been watching the stream lately, it's pretty cool. I'll talk about that more as we develop that. I'm helping them kind of give them feedback on how to create a much better platform. It's a really cool idea, though. And if you're curious about that, come into my stream and you can find out more. The other tabs I generally have open, I'll have things like Twitter. I'll have like the Twitch channels I follow. I might have that tab open just so I can see who else is streaming. Reddit, maybe, if I want to keep up on what's going on while I'm streaming so that I can be able to talk about it while I'm streaming. Just whatever. And then the last thing I'll talk about is what I use for music. I use Spotify, and I actually do pay for it, so I get the no ad version. I found that Spotify is really good because you can create these radio stations, use the thumbs up and thumbs down system to really kind of make them unique to you so that it knows what you like and don't like, and then it turns into actually a pretty good station. I found that iTunes music wasn't that great when it came to this. And I've tried a few other options out there. None of them were all that great. Spotify seems to have a lot of options, a lot of music, and it's like $10 a month. It's fairly cheap. And I just listen to Spotify anyway if I'm not streaming, because I can find pretty much all new music or things that I want on there. And so yeah, I generally use that. Now, this isn't the perfect setup. If I had all the money in the world, I would probably do something a little bit different. But this is actually pretty good. It makes pretty good quality recordings. Pretty good quality streams, I think. Everything looks crisp and clean and nice, and it's taken me a while to actually get to this point, but I just want to share that with you because I know some of you guys have wondered what my setup actually looks like, and you know, what goes into making a really good setup. There's lots of different options and lots of different good and bad mics and cameras and all that kind of stuff out there. So please, if you guys have suggestions for other up-and-coming streamers and podcasters, I would love it if you would leave comments below telling me what you use. If you have any extra questions that I did not cover here, feel free to go ahead and put those down there as well. I will try my best to answer you as best as, you know, to my knowledge. I'm not 100% an expert on all this stuff, but I've been using audio and video equipment for quite a while, and I do have a broadcasting degree, so I'm somebody who has some knowledge, and I can probably talk to you about it on a level that's helpful if you need that. So please, you know, do that. Comment, all that stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Check out the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/WillyDillsSF. One thing before I go to, I know that I started out doing a lot of these vlogging streams, and I've kind of changed. I've pivoted a little bit, but that's just because I'm trying out different things. It's not the last you're going to see of the vlogging stream. That is still going to be a thing. I just want to make sure that when I put those out, there's something interesting going on, something that's worthy of the vlog portion of it before the stream portion. I'm not just going to show you guys that I made coffee and then had a bagel and then sat down and streamed and made YouTube stuff. That's not that interesting. But when stuff happens that I think is interesting and positive and stuff that I think I want to share with you guys, those will happen again. So anyway, thank you guys for all the feedback on the latest videos. Go check out my Warcraft review. And you can also check out my Hearthstone Fundamentals series that I'm starting up. A new one of those will be coming soon as well. So please go check out those old videos. And again, I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.